What's going on YouTube, Gen X? In my last video, I talked about how I'm going to scale it back. But when I do post, I will still do my videos on career and education because I really love doing those, even though they don't get the views that I feel like they should get. But, I've come to understand that as much as we can use YouTube and Gen X and other forums as a great way to actually talk about some real shit, right? Because, we don't really get that in the media. And who knows if we're talking about important issues in our own circles in real life. You would think that YouTube would be a great way to kind of fill the void, right? But I've come to understand that people are going to use it as entertainment. They're just not going to ever use this venue as a place where they can talk about real shit, right? You have the men that have already come on and talked about what's going on, and they have a more serious approach, but yet you have a lot of the women that are still coming on and using this as entertainment, right? When they're the ones doing the most crying. So after trying to deal with all that, I'm like, yo, I'm kind of done, right? You actually have your opportunity to dialogue with the men that you say are rejecting you and this, that, and the third, but you rather not. So, it is what it is. And you would think that this would even be the ideal site because it's not like we're dealing with each other personally, right? But you can still be real with each other. This would be like the perfect venue for actual, real conversations. But when you don't have it, so what can you really say or do? But at the end of the day, I'm still going to do my videos on career and education because I know there's people who listen, and I think these videos help out a lot of people, not just black people, but anybody who cares. Um, so in this video, I want to talk about the whole job career thing. Unfortunately, we have old ways of thinking that we've inherited from older generations of black folk. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good information that they have, right? A lot of stuff that is relevant even today. Um, but some of it doesn't cross over because the world that they had to adapt to is different or partly different in regards to what we have to adapt to today. Okay, it's as simple as that. We just live in a different world. I mean, from simple transportation, right? How we move around. So there's a lot of subtle and major things about our life as far as 2010 that by default make it different from life 30, 40, even, 50, 60, 10, 20 years ago. Okay? My parents went to school in the 80s and the 70s and, so did the other elders in my group. Um, and you would think, relatively speaking, that's not that long ago, but literally, it's a different world. So oftentimes, and it's happened to me, it's happened to family, and some of you guys. There's been a lot of arguments with parents in terms of what they feel you need to be doing, but they're not understanding that the world is different, right? They don't understand that having a degree doesn't hold the same weight, right? And I think that's across the board because I've had non-black friends say the same thing. You could, if this was 1980, having your degree was like having your master's degree, right? How many top-notch guys making big bucks went to college, right? So you could graduate from high school, get yourself a good job, and do well, right? And having your degree was just like, oh my gosh, this guy went above and beyond. But now we don't have that. There's more regulations, and the job market's become a whole lot more competitive. Um, so it's not the same. Um, and we have to understand that because sometimes the parents won't. I'll be perfectly honest with you. The parents won't necessarily always understand. So you have to get used to the whole idea of bumping heads. I hate to say it, but you're probably going to bump heads with your parents and your grandparents or whatnot because they may not understand what's going on, right? If you had a parent or somebody who's lost a job, right, and they've had to go back in the job market and see what's out there, maybe, right? But if, they've been doing their thing since the 80s, they don't know. So let's talk about the whole job career. Your career is the collection of the jobs that you work. Okay? Like a university versus a college. They're not the same thing, right? A university is the collection of different colleges. So when you go to your university and they have the College of Arts or the College of Science or the College of Humanities or the College of Engineering, right? You have your separate little colleges within a university, right? So the colleges make up the universities, just like your jobs make up your career. Um, so when you're asking yourself what I want to do in terms of work, don't just think about the job. Think about the career that you want to have, okay? Because once again, your career is going to be the composite of all the jobs that you will work. Um, and for me, I tell people you either have two approaches. You're either going to look at a certain industry, okay, or look at a certain job title um, that you can work within different industries. Let me, give examples because that better illustrates what I'm trying to say. Um, how can I put this? Okay, let's say you do IT work. Okay, I don't know the details of IT. Hopefully somebody can come on and fill in the void. But I have an uncle that does IT, and he's been doing IT since I guess the early '90s, or that's when I can remember. Um, and that's all he's done. Wherever he's worked, he's always said, "Yeah, I do IT stuff." But he's worked for different companies, and he's worked within different industries. So he's did IT at different banks, but he's done IT, for different hospitals or different corporations. So he's literally done IT within businesses in the same industry, but then he's also done IT work in different industries. But his job title pretty much didn't change. But the job that he chose, he knew he can work this job within different industries, right? I'm in teaching, right? Uh, I can't go be a teacher at a hospital. I can't go be, a teacher in corporate America. I can only be a teacher um, within public education, if that kind of helps you understand what I just said. So he can have the same job but work for different companies, and he can work in different industries. So you can look at it from that point of view, okay? Or you can look at it from, well, I want to be in this industry, right? And when you talk about an industry, your industry is going to have different types of jobs at different levels, right? Going back to education. If I said, I want to be in public education, right? As opposed to saying, well, I want to be a teacher. Well, within public education, there's different jobs. I can be a teacher. I can be an administrator. I can be a principal. I can be, a school nurse, or I can be a speech therapist. I can be a special ed teacher. You have different jobs at different levels within the public education sector. Or, if you said, you want to work in, I guess, the medical field, you can be a nurse, you can be a dietitian, a nutritionist, you can be some sort of administrator. So there's different positions and titles within that industry. So you can look at it from that point of view as well, right? I know people who don't know what exactly they want to be, but they know their industry. Now I know people who know what they want to be, but they don't know the industry that they want to be in. Going back to the whole, I want to do IT. I don't care where I'm at. I just want to do IT versus people who will say, I don't care what I want to do or what they have me doing for now. I just want to be in the industry. So if I can get in, let me get in. It kind of works that way with people who want to be, I guess, in the film industry. Most people just want to get their foot in the door. I don't care what I have to do. I just want to be in there, right? So you have those two approaches. So you have to understand what works best for you. And hopefully that should help. But you have to really let go of this whole idea of, find a good job and hold on to it. That's old school. That whole, you find that good job and you work there for 30 years and you retire, that's old school. Uh, it's funny because an example of that, I'll be in the staff lounge eating lunch when I do eat there. And you'll have the older teachers talk about how their husband is going to retire from their job and they've been there for the last 35 years and they're going to have some big celebration, right? Versus the younger teacher who's talking about her husband, is in and out of work. He works for this company now. He's applying for this company. So they're moving in and out of jobs as opposed to the older generation. You were able to find that one good job and work that job for life. Right? We don't have that anymore. Times have changed. You're going to have different jobs. So for me, once again, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I'm more so inclined to say, hey, you may want to think about an industry, right? As opposed to a job that kind of crosses over, But if you can find one where hey, it doesn't matter what industry I'm at, you're always going to need people. You can do that, but for me, I prefer the whole, hey man, choose an industry, because to me, you have more flexibility in terms of what you can be and what you can do within that industry. But, that's just me. But all I can say is, the world has changed and you have to adapt to it. And I guess for a lot of minorities, not just black people, a lot of us have this old archaic way of thinking in regards to find a good job and hold on to it and pray that you don't get fired. But the way the economy works, there's a lot of employers to give credit to some people who don't want to fire people, right? I had a buddy, he's not actually like a friend of a buddy, okay, and we were talking at a barbecue, and he was talking about how he's working, but he doesn't know why, because he knows that his employer can't really afford to be paying them. But he feels so bad about letting them go that, it's hurting his bottom line, right? So, you have a lot of employers who just aren't crooked people who just want to fire people, right? But, it's the nature of what we have, right? It is what it is, so you have to prepare for it. So that's my vid. Y'all take it easy. Let me know what you think, how you feel. God bless.